Hi there everyone, and welcome to the Liberty Intelligence Organization Network. I'm your host and the co-founder of this news recap show. You can call me the captain. If you've been keeping up to date and staying tuned into our recent videos, we've already went over our introduction and a couple of definitions we've used. And basically in our last segment what we were talking about was the fact that the government seems to be targeting returning veterans, the guys who went over to fight the terrorists. Well, according to the government, now they are the terrorists. So like I mentioned before, the war on terror is getting completely flipped around, and those of you keeping in touch with us or staying tuned know that that means it's Bizarro World, it's Twilight Zone, stuff is backwards. The war on terror isn't about the terrorists anymore. The war on terror is about the American people. They're the real terrorists. And we're going to be getting into some of that right now. In fact, I've already tried to do this segment a couple times, but I went overtime. So, again, I didn't check the time when I started, so I'm just going to try and rush through this all real quick. I'm going to save that article for the end. I'm going to save that article for later. We'll go through right here. Basically, this one's out of the New York Times. And before I get started, I got to mention you can't really trust mainstream media news networks because most of them are owned by the very people who are bringing down upon us very, very dark times. And they're actually trying to do this because they think that they will benefit if the rest of us suffer. So basically, he's just saying in this article just talks about, since it's out of the New York Times, it's really not as in-depth as some of the other articles, but it basically just says that the government's been collecting data on United States American citizens, and if you want to know why, well, they don't have to tell us, even though what they're doing is unconstitutional and illegal. But I guess they're the government, so they can't do anything illegal because they're the ones who make the laws, right? No, wrong, folks. We have a law of the land that's supposed to protect us as American citizens from our own government. It's supposed to limit their power, but they've superseded our Constitution. And as I mentioned in earlier videos, that it is an attempt by a large organization of corporations and others who are trying to destroy the United States of America in the hopes that in the aftermath of the lone superpower being destroyed, they can establish a one-world government, also known as the New World Order. And this is the first segment where I've actually mentioned that, but I want people to be aware that this is real. And some people will argue that the New World Order is a concept or an idea that is constantly changing shape. No, it isn't. The very people who talk about the New World Order, it is the same thing to all of them. They all expect to be the rulers of the New World Order, and to them, the New World Order means complete control of the population. So to you, the New World Order might mean something different, but to the very people that are running the New World Order, it means the same thing. And I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm trying to just cover the title of this thing that's going to be America's the Enemy? With a question mark? They're the enemy? Apparently. Sorry, I just woke up. I was recording the first three segments last night. I got extremely tired, but I just woke up and I wanted to really get through this one. So the title I got on this article right here, and basically these articles are going to be covering the fact that the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, FEMA, FBI, CIA, and even the Army to some extent, the military, they're labeling American citizens as terrorists and watching us as us. And in a couple of later segments, you'll even see that they're treating us as terrorists, whether we do anything wrong or not, just because they're being trained this way, and we'll get to that later. But the title here is Constitutionalists labeled as terrorists for speaking out against the government. So apparently if you speak out against the government, even though that's your First Amendment right, the right to speak, free speech, even though you're just doing what the law says you can do, the government says you're a terrorist if you do that. And what I like about this one is it talks about the NDAA 2012, which is the National Defense Authorization Act. We're going to get to that in a later segment too, in depth. But what I got to point out right now is basically in that act, one of the things it says is if a person doesn't really agree with the government, you can declare them mentally insane and have them locked away without any due process, any judge, any trial, no jury, no nothing. And I wrote here on the notes, Nazis, Hitler, Stalin, because this is the same stuff that the Nazis did with anyone who didn't like what they were doing. They locked you in a mental institution. If you didn't like the Soviet Union, they locked you in a mental institution in Stalin's Soviet Union. So So this is very dangerous stuff. Like, man, I want to remind people, Hitler, I think, killed like 20 million people. Or, no, he's probably responsible for more than that. I haven't looked at the numbers recently, so I might be messing it up. But I know that he killed a lot and Stalin killed a lot. They're both responsible for murdering a lot of people. And that should give you some example of what types of people in government call for this thing. They tend to not be very good people, and they tend to end up killing a lot of people in the end. So we got to be very careful of this as American citizens, because we're the only country in the world where we have the law on our side, where we can stand up and say no to the government. And they're literally, like, they're raping us now, and we need to say no, stop this. So here's the last article before my final two. This one's DOJ funded training manuals lists bumper sticker that says terrorism. And basically, if you have a bumper sticker that's anti-UN, if you have a bumper sticker that says know your rights or lose them, if you have any bumper sticker connected to the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, they're telling police and emergency responders through the state and local anti-terrorism training program that they should be treated as terrorists. And again, this goes into the freedom of speech. You know, you're allowed to have a bumper sticker that says whatever you want as long as it doesn't say go shoot my neighbor, end quote. You know, you can't promote violence against another person, but you can pretty much say stuff like, I don't think we should be in the UN. There's nothing wrong with that. But according to the government now, you're a terrorist if you do that. So usually I have a big stack of news here. I wanted to really just get through this video today. Sorry folks, give me 1 second. Alright, there we go. I lost one of the articles that it's my favorite one to get through here. Here's another article. The headline here is War on Terror's New Targets, Veterans, Tea Partiers, and Anti-Fed Activists. Before I get into this one, I'm going to do a time check real quick. Yeah, I'm running out of time. First, I want to commend Paul Joseph Watson and InfoWars and Mr. Alex Jones for being the inspiration for me to get out there and start making these films. Again, I just got into all this when I was writing a science fiction novel. And I started seeing a lot of it taking place, a lot of it actually happening, and I became very concerned, and the more I see, the more concerned I am, for your sake, because I already know about all this stuff, so really I'm ready for whatever, but I know most of my friends are not ready, and I imagine most of you people are not ready. Basically this one is a good article. If you're going to check out any of them, check out this one. We're going to try to link to it on the bottom. Here's the link if you can see it there. And basically what it has a couple links in the actual article, the videos. We link to them too. But I really like one of the videos. I really actually don't like it, but I want to point it out to you all. In this video is a FEMA class, and he's training emergency responders as part of the SLATE program, State, Local, Anti-Terrorism Task Force or whatever. And basically he's training these police and these firemen that the Founding Fathers were terrorists. And go watch the video for yourself. I mean, and if you don't know history, I'm going to point out to you that what he's saying is a lie. He's lying entirely. And I don't usually like to call people liars, but I mean, if somebody tells me that a stop sign's green and I know a stop sign's red, I'm going to say, hey, you know, that's not very truthful. And then if they continue to say that, I'm going to say, hey, you're a blatant liar. And this guy's a blatant liar. He obviously has he needs to go take a history course. I can teach him for free. I mean, I'm not going to charge him if he wants to learn history. I'll gladly sit down and talk to him. But the final video, basically a lady gets arrested for knowing the Constitution. The cops become very afraid that she knows the Constitution, and they basically arrest her. You can go watch those videos, folks. I'm actually going to end this video and do another one real quick. This one's going to be America's the Enemy? Question mark? I know, it's kind of crazy, right? Bizarro world. And again, Twilight Zone, if you are a zombie, you don't know what those terms mean, but if you want to know what those terms mean, go check out the definitions video. So that's going to be it. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to remind you all to stay safe, stay informed, stay free, and stay alive. This is the Captain from the Liberty Intelligence Organization Network signing off.